Right, lots of new interesting characters. This new Shinobu and Otama, very good character in my opinion, both in Rumble and also in regular content. There's quite a few strings attached though for Rumble stuff, so we'll talk about that in a moment. But I will go through the entire batch. We just have, of course, the new Yamato unit, which is not a support unit. She's a Rumble, a Kizuna character, but she also has like one of the best supports in the game. So it's just kind of a best of both worlds character. This Yamato, in my opinion, she has a better artwork than the legend character. Like, this is a pretty good artwork, you can't lie. And this character, one of the best rare recruits that I've seen in months. This character is giving up the same vibes as Bobbin did back in the day, as Uso Hachi. If you've been around for long enough to know how good those characters are, this character is just on that same level. So we're going to talk about her after, of course, Shinobu and Otama, and then we can move on to the new Super Evolution, which I think is also definitely a hit. For once, Bandai actually made a good Super Evolution, and I don't think you need all the dupes to get to max level limit break. We used Kaido from last month. We didn't have him at level limit break 5. He was pretty much trash, right? His special was so nerfed. But when it comes to this unit, I think they definitely are going to see much more play for even newer players who don't even have any level limit break, right? But let's start off. We're going to talk about the banner first of all. So, of course, as usual, there's going to be 2 parts. On part 1, we are going to have this Lilith as well as Robin. Robin is a unit used quite often in Rumble side teams. She's pretty good. She can carry herself, but she is also, of course, a strat tag unit, so she goes really well if you have the Sai Sword Nami. So definitely consider trying to go for this Robin. This Lilith is not a bad rare recruit. Not really used in Rumble though, but just a solid rare recruit in general. Of course, there's a lot of Vegapunk units that you need for certain units like Atlas, the Kizuna legend. So getting more Vegapunk units is always a nice thing. But of course, you can't use this unit, for instance, with like Vegapunk, Lilith, and Usopp. You can also pull Ulti Page One here, but of course, we do get 2 free copies in Rumble. So unless you can't get this unit maxed, for instance, those 2 Rumble copies get your character 1 dupe away from 150. Then you can maybe consider doing pulls on this part to try and get the last copy. But I really don't think you need it. But either way, they are there. Sai and Leo, this unit's terrible. And then the Bonnie Pirates. This is her first time debuting on a Kizuna Sugo-Fest since her debut, which was already a few months ago now. Last month we got Robin and Crocodile debuting, or returning for the first time. Of course, she is available in the Aurora Gem Sugo-Fest right now, but in a regular banner, she's finally returning. Now, she does actually do quite similar things to the new Shinobu and Otama legend. So if you have her, then you'll probably be good for the Kizuna, because there's a lot of gimmicks like orb-based damage reduction, which Bonnie also gets around, and very similar type and class. This unit's strength, fighter, free spirit. The Otama and Shinobu is strength slash a free spirit. So I'm assuming the enemy's gonna have class weakness to fighters, hopefully. In which case, I mean free spirits. In which case, this Bonnie would also be really good for damage. And just in general, this character is great in my opinion. She does a lot in her captain ability for such a low requirement. She says ship special charge to max, which the only other characters are like Memory's Jumbe, which otherwise is not a very good captain. But she will extend your attack boosts, your chain boundaries, your chain locks, and also reduce instant burn by 6 turns. All you need is 2 other characters from the Egghead arc, which we have plenty of. So I definitely think this Bonnie has a lot of usage. Her special is also great, not only getting around orb damage reduction, but also giving you a class advantage buff. So yeah, I think this character is great, but obviously the video is not about her. But just saying, definitely consider pulling to get this character if you don't have her and you didn't get her from the Aurora Gem Sugo. But then on part 2 here, we of course have Robin and Crocodile, who has been great in Pirate Rumble. Not so much in regular content. I haven't seen them seeing a lot of play. I still think they're pretty good in regular content. If I pull them, I would use them quite a bit. But then we have Shiryu there, who I think is, if we're comparing Sai and Leo to Shiryu, Shiryu is miles better. No matter what, a unit with Captain action will be helpful. It makes the character immune to all debuffs, so if you're running double Shiryu, you're going to get around all types of despair or any type of debuff to the top row. And he himself will also negate all enemy buffs and also defense up for like 3 turns. So any captain action units, just that alone will make Shiryu a valuable asset to your account. So definitely consider pulling for that. But then we have, of course, the new character, the shiny unit themselves, Shinobu and Otama. Okay, this unit has quite a few pros, a decent amount of cons, and yeah, I mean, this unit is of course centralized around the Land of Wano arc tag, which does have a lot of support. We've spent years in Wano, so there's a lot of characters that will work with this unit. But of course, if you are trying, or if you're like a recent player who started and you have only been pulling on recent banners, most of your units are going to be Egghead arc tag. So there's definitely going to be a clash between a large portion of your box that's Egghead, and then the other portion, which is Land of Wano. So this unit is going to be very restrictive on the units that you can use her with, because if you don't have a lot of Land of Wano arc tag units in regular content, she's not doing much at all. So let's go through her. Strength / a free spirit. She's essentially Odin, but better as a captain. She's boosting, of course, strength, free spirit, and slasher, so 3 categories of characters. Very good. 1.35x HP, 5x attack, and makes Dex orbs count as, or converts Dex orbs into 1-0. So of course, if you are running a mainly strength central team, if the enemy gives you I was gonna say unfavorable orbs, but Dex orbs, no, quick orbs are unfavorable. So if you are running quick units who are free spirit or slasher, and the enemy changes your orbs into unfavorable, for instance, it will change those into 1-0 instead. So there's definitely some application there. Unfortunately, like, no one in this batch gives Dex orbs, so you're only really relying on your enemy to give you bad orbs. But you could also use a character that gives a full board of Dex orbs, like Treasure Map Ryokugyo, who doesn't really synergize well with these characters, but it doesn't really matter. Just a colorful example. Now the main thing that this character's captain is trying to do, the final tap buff. We know and love it. Final tap buff, it carries over. It's not turn based, it's action based, if that makes sense. You can use a final tap buff on stage 1 of a quest and still have it on turn stage 20. All you have to do is not tap with all the units. The second you hit a final tap on a character, the final tap buff gets dissipated. So for instance, you'd use this on stage 2, it can carry over to stage 3. Most of the time you won't need to attack with all of your characters on stage 2. So Shinobu and Otama will state that any slasher or free spirit character as a crewmate that uses their special, it doesn't matter what their special does, they just need to be free spirit or slasher, will give us a 15% final tap buff for free spirit or slasher units. And this will get stacked. So 3 times in 1 turn to a total of 6 times. And this does stack, running double Otama and Shinobu, going up to a total of like 180% extra damage for your final tap. So that's a lot of damage. Of course, only 1 unit is going to get that benefit, and it has to be a slasher or free spirit character. But nevertheless, that's an extra 2.8x attack that you need to consider. In high damage content, that can be extremely significant. Of course, we're going to take a look at the unit's special later on. If the special's terrible, it won't really matter. But once again, this character's captain is only 5x, right? So you wouldn't be using this in Super Boss, but it's still a really nice damage buff anyways for maybe regular Kizuna 10-star. Then she will also state that if you have 4 more Land of Wano arc, Paramithia type, or child characters on the crew, you reduce chain coefficient reduction by 7 turns and gives an extension of 1 turn to all orb boosts and color affinity boosts that you activate in the adventure. It doesn't matter, it doesn't have to be from a slasher or free spirit character, everyone gets that benefit. So yes, chain coefficient reduction, most of the time you can ignore it, But in Kizuna or any damage content where you want to get as much damage as possible, you need to remove chain coefficient reduction, because most of the time you need to use a chain boundary so that you can get to the highest chain possible, and you need to remove that debuff. So even though it's not the best utility in the captain, it's still good to have. And I mean, it's not too hard to meet a requirement for the tags in her captain ability, since Paramythia type is also included here where it isn't in her special. So I think this is quite strong. It's a nice smorgasbord. You get a bit of everything. Good damage, good decent utility, and also that amazing extension of buffs, which can definitely make a massive difference in your quest. By either extending a buff to 2 turns, you block the enemy from giving you a bad orb boost or color affinity boost, or you can extend 2 turn orb boosts and color affinities so they last until the final stage. Or if you run double Shinobu and Otama, you can extend 1 turn orb boost and color affinity boost to 3 turns, also lasting until the final stage. So orb extensions, I mean any buff extensions, they've really been making this more frequent with characters, which I really appreciate. I think this is going to be great going forward. But overall, I think the captain ability is great. The only thing that's lacking is a bit of a higher attack multiplier, and also there's no cooldown. So yeah, you probably won't be using this character in content like PKA where you need cooldown. So that's about it for the captain. I think this is a good effect, very well rounded and quite unique. Not any other characters in the game extend both orb boost and color affinity, and then also reduce chain coefficient reduction, not to mention all the damage through the final tab buffs. Then the special, maxing out at 14 turns after expansion limit break, otherwise it's 15 turns, so quite high but nothing new. 6 turns resilience reduction, we'll always like to see that. Using end of turn damage is very slow, I rather remove it straight up. And then also removes enemies orb damage reduction by 4 turns, so very nice. One of the most sought after utilities in a unit, since this debuff, or enemy buff should I say, has become a lot more common over the last like months of events. So and most of the time it's not more than 4 turns, so even though it's not exactly 6 turns for example, that should be enough. But yeah, you can see why I mentioned Bonnie earlier as a replacement. Bonnie, I think, removes it by 3 turns. This character is 4 turns and doesn't have any requirements, so very good utility so far. 40 times healing through the maximum HP. So you have overheal, very nice. A lot of characters nowadays do require overheal to get the maximum effect from their special captain ability. So having overheal is nice. And also, of course, there's a lot of more gimmicks nowadays that try to kill you, so having extra HP is never a bad thing, right? Then you have, if you have 4 more Land of Wonder arc or child tag characters. So this is where the special goes downhill. I think they had a very cool design philosophy behind the rest of the special, but you took away the Paramythia tag, and now it's way harder to meet this requirement. There's not a lot of child characters in the game. There are, as I said, a lot of Land of Honor arcs, but now you have to run 3 other Land of Honor arcs at least, which definitely restricts your team building. And if you don't have that, the only thing you're getting from the special is that the utility and the healing, which is not good enough in today's day and age. But if you do meet the tag requirement, you'll get an attack boost of 2.75x to the 3 categories she boosts in a captain. But the turn is based on how many enemies there are. So if there's 1 enemy, the attack boost will only be 1 turn. If there's 6 enemies, the attack boost will be 6 turns. But 99% of content nowadays only has 1 enemy. But what you could do is use this on like stage 1 of like a Kizuna or something. Remember, there's 2 turtle mobs on stage 1, which will make the attack boost last for 2 turns. Now that still wouldn't be good enough to even last until stage 2, but like that's just my only, to my knowledge, that's the only stage in modern day content that has more than 1 enemy. So 99% of the time, of course, in this month of content there'll be a lot of enemies just to make and accommodate for this legend, but most of the time you're getting a 1-turn attack boost, which is not bad by any means, but that's not going to carry you. It's not good enough if that's all you're getting from this segment of the special. Now, if you, based on how many turns your attack boost ends up being, you get extra benefits. So it's kind of, the turns of your attack boost is your currency, and the game uses that currency to buff your other orb boosts, color affinities, and this attack boost itself. So if there's 5 enemies or 6 enemies and you get a 6 or 5 turn attack boost, it'll reduce the turn duration by 1 turn, going down to 4 turns for example, but it will buff your attack boost, orb boost, and color affinity by 0.4. That's very considerable. Yeah, that's incredible. And remember, it does also state here that existing orb boost and color affinities will be allowed to enhance twice, so that's also nice. So for high damage content, this could be really good. Now, if you don't have any enemies besides one enemy on the enemy side, I say enemy a lot, you only get a 0.2, which is still not bad. And of course, it won't reduce any turns. Below 3 turns, so if there are 3 turns or less on that attack boost, it won't reduce any turns. So you won't have to worry about your attack boost not lasting over multiple stages. No matter what, it will get that effect. So that's very nice. It just gets weaker, that effect boost, if you have less turns. So overall, I think it's pretty good. I don't think this is anything game breaking, of course. The utility is good. I mean, this is a unique combination, removing resilience and also orb damage reduction, and then also giving overheal, a very big attack boost, and then also buffing so many of your existing buffs by such a considerable amount. I just think the circumstances you use this character in is just too niche for her special to be used so often. But I don't think it's bad by any means. I think it's like, it's above average, slightly above average. Then we have a super class, which only activates when you have 3 units from this list, and it can be activated when she's a crewmate, so that's quite a key distinction. So very easy is to get Luffy, a Nami or Robin, and then get either one of these Yamato, Ace, or Momo. That is probably the easiest way for you to proc this. So many good Luffys. You'll find at least one good Nami or Robin, and then one of these characters surely will be available. But of course, I don't think this territory or the superclass in general is good enough to warrant team building around it. It removes all poison effects on the crew. And remember, this will change poison slots into matching. So we should be expecting poison orbs on the Kizuna. Yeah, not looking forward to that. But anyways, yeah, also just regular poison icon debuffs that will reduce your HP. But also, poison orbs are the main reason this would be good. Also gives you a territory for strength type to the field for 1 turn only. Territories can transfer over multiple stages, but this one is only 1 turn, so it won't. Territory just gives up to 1.5x attack if you have 6 strength characters. If you have less, it slowly decreases. I'm not sure what the minimum is, but it's always a nice added damage effect. And it can't be affected by immunities. It will then extend color affinities by 1 turn. So if you have this and the captain effect, it extends color affinities by 2 turns. By 3 turns if you're running double Shinobu Otama. Then provide a 30% final tap buff, which will of course stack with the captain effect, the captain ability's final tap effects. So that's pretty nice. You'll easily get up to 200% if you are running double Shinobu and Otama. And then free spread superclass. So it's really not doing much. The poison orbs is probably the best part of it, getting around those, and extending the color affinity. The territory is whatever. The final tap buff is also kind of whatever. It's an extra 1.3x damage, but yeah, it's not going to make much of a difference in most quests. He does have damage limit break for strength. I wouldn't pay too much attention to that. Support effect is to all Land of Honor arc characters and an extra 1.1x damage. through a final tap buff for free spirit or slasher. So it's not a bad extra damage buff, but it's really not going to change anything. But let's talk about her rumble stuff, which is of course what many people want to know about. Okay, when we talk about her rumble stuff, also I need to get through this really fast. I don't want this to be a 30-minute video. It's going to be very quick with the super evolution, don't worry. There's not a lot of changes, but there are some significant ones. So with Shinobu and Otama, recovery style character with a 35 CT, which on first glance seems terrible. This unit will target closest enemies, but that doesn't really matter. Most of the time she will be healing. Then she has resistance to action bind and 30% reduction in damage from dex enemies. Then her rumble's ability. Okay, I'll first talk about her special. This is important. First off, her stats. She has 131 defense and 160 speed. Those two cannot be changed no matter what. Other stats though can be changed, of course, by powering up the unit. Okay, so her rumble special 35 CT seems terrible, but let's break it down. Targets Momo units for 10% CT delay, which seems like a very annoying debuff at first, and I was a bit confused until I found the Yamato and Momo legend from Arthani Part 2. I completely forgot about that legend. I only pulled the Kaido Big Mom, so I completely forgot about that character. But this is the resurgence of the slasher team in the form of a Land of Wano arc team. Because the Momo and Yama character, they actually charge or get their super special ready by getting delayed. So if you have Yamato and Momo, level them at break 5, which upgrades their super special, it only requires them to be delayed one time. So this 10% delay would get their rumble special ready instantly. So yeah, that's really good. It's only 10% delay as well, so it won't be too detrimental. Then if you have 4 more Land of Honor arc characters on the team, that of course includes herself, then you will target one attack style teammate for a special CT of 20% reduction and 100% chance of haste, which just moves them to the top of the queue guaranteed. No matter how bad their speed is, they will be attacking next. Of course, 20% doesn't guarantee that the unit will be ready to activate, which can be a gamble. However, the unit that is meant to work with this unit, which is Kaido Big Mom, already gives themselves so much CT reduction that final 20% will be enough to get them ready, guaranteed for their special. So of course the goal is to burst as quick as possible, but then also after 30 seconds of battle, so if you activate the special after the first 30 seconds, then it will give 2 high attack enemies 100% chance of half attack for 15 seconds, 2 high speed enemies for 100% chance of half speed for 15 seconds, and then high defense enemies 2 get 100% chance of half defense for 15 seconds, leaving them vulnerable. So yeah, this is quite the special. More of a debuffer than a recovery style unit in my opinion. But anyways, targets 2 enemies with high current special CT for another special CT 10% delay. So this essentially guarantees that they won't be using their special and you will be allowed to burst. And then if your burst fails, you cooked, but it's fine. If you have the right setup, you shouldn't have to worry about that because the damage will be so high. Because Yamato Momo will come in with their super special and Kaido Big Mom has incredible DPS. So if you set this up properly, it'll be fine, but you do have to be quite careful, right? 35 CT. So you might think, okay, no matter when this character first uses their special, it will be after the first 30 seconds. So you will get all those debuffs to the enemy. But it's not that simple because we get so much cooldown by using this character from their passive. So it's definitely possible and highly likely that you will use this character special before 30 seconds, which will flop the team pretty badly. So if you look at their passive, strength type and slasher class teammates get HP up level 6. I think it's 500 HP per level, speed up level 6, and a defense up of level 3. I didn't actually finish talking about the special yet, but let's just take a look at this before we proceed. The Destroyer Pirates, which is nice, and Band of Honor arc characters get a defense up of level 3 in addition to that other level 3. And then if Momo is on the team, when appearing on the field, he'll reduce CT of Destroyer Pirates and Land of Honor arc characters by 10%. And then if she appears on the field, she'll reduce her own cooldown or charge time by 40% in addition to that 10% prior. So 50% at the start of the quest if Momo's on the team. Yeah, crazy. It is madness. So she'll be at essentially a 17 charge time at the start of the quest. So in my opinion, the best way to use this character is to have a fish on your main lineup, essentially a character that will die quickly. But that unit, it should survive for like 10 seconds and then die. Like, bring someone who's like just some random rare recruit who will get instantly KO'd. Or take at least like 2-3 hits and then die. Shinobu will come in and reduce their own CT by 50%. And then you'll definitely have the special activating after 30 seconds. That's just the way I think you should do it. But once again, if you don't have Momo and Yamato, this unit is not worth it for Pyro Rumble just yet. So for now, just keep your gems. You'll probably get them on Aurora Gem Sugo. But another thing at the end here, if you are past the 30 seconds of the battle, you also get healing of ×5 recovery for strength type and slasher teammates. But then also those tags will get a level 7 shield for 30 seconds and a 50% chance to evade ignoring defense damage for 30 seconds. So is no matter what, you'll be bursting with the enemy debuffed with low defense. Remember, you'll get that first burst guaranteed. Then you'll get that 30-second, which is way longer, shield, and also defense ignoring protection for 30 seconds, so that even when the enemies come back in, if you don't burst them and kill them, their specials won't do much, because the shield is the best defensive buff in Pyro Rumble. No matter how much damage the enemy does, the shield will fully tank the hit. Yes, if the damage is massive, the shield will dissipate, you'll lose the shield, but no matter what, it will tank the full hit. And yes, damage ignoring defense is only 50% chance, so it's not the best in the world, but I mean, it's still there. It's going to be great for defense teams. You're going to have, whenever it comes to defense teams, a bit of RNG is fine. So I think this character, if you make a proper defense team, it's going to be menacing in Rumble. So yeah, I mean, this character, I definitely see potential. The only time I wouldn't pull for this unit is if you don't have either Kaido Big Mom or Yamato and Momo. But to be honest, I don't think you need Kaido and Big Mom as long as you have Momo, just because of how well they work together. But of course, if you do have Momo at 150, which I don't know why you would, then this unit is kind of a must-have. Like, you could make a really solid Rumble team. The main reason why you need their Rumble Super Special Max is that if you don't, you need to have them delayed 3 times, which is much harder. So if we take a look here, I mean, also just in regular content, he also works really well with the Yamato and what's her name? Shinobu. Because he either gives an Orb Boost or Color Affinity of 2 turns, which will become multiple stage thanks to their Captain ability extending those buffs. But the main thing, yeah, I was talking about a Rumble. The Super Special, before level limit break 5, you need to be delayed 3 times. So what could work is you use Shinobu and Otama twice in the quest, and there's a good chance that enemy will delay one of your characters at least 1 time. So it's definitely possible to still have this Super Rumble Special. It'll just be more towards the end of the tail end of the fight. So it won't be as good, but it's still really good. So I wouldn't worry about level limit break 5 too much. If you just have Kaido, Big Mom, and this Yamato Momo, even if they're not maxed, I think it's still going to be a very good team that's going to be hard to reckon with. But let me talk about other characters before we end off. Okay, so Yamato, of course, no rumble abilities, but of course her special. Let's take a look at this. Very, very good. Only problem is 15 CD. Very, very high for a rare recruit. 200 times her damage as single target type damage to the enemy. Strength, Free Spirit, and Strikers get a 2.25x color affinity for a turn. A bit of a low multiplier, but it is for 3 categories and there's no strings attached, so that's pretty good. Then gives a 1.4 chain boost for 1 turn, once again just for free. And then gives you a 1000 threshold buff for a turn. So any death hit is not going to touch this unit, or your entire team should I say, for a turn. Do be wary. Debuffs like pain, instant burn, regular burn, all those will still bypass threshold. It's only damage that the enemy does directly to you. So very, very good still. There's a lot of death hits nowadays. And then also reduce threshold by 6 turns, just for free. No conditions here. And then if the enemy has defense up status, reduces it by 6 turns. So reducing both defense up and threshold by 6 turns, and providing 2 damage buffs and also survivability. He does everything. And then even if the enemy doesn't have defense up, sets the enemy's defense to 0. So if the enemy doesn't have defense up, there's a good chance that you can inflict the enemy with defense down, which can proc conditional boost. So this is the first unit in the game I'm actually seeing do this, where you have that kind of versatility. So very, very good. And yes, there is a tag requirement here, but it's very easy. Paramythia type, Mythical Zone, which a lot of big characters have, and Land of Honor arc for more characters, including herself, so 3 others. You get an extra 1.3x damage for your Free Spirit characters. So it's not crazy, it's not gonna, you don't need the tags. So that's the main point. This unit has no strings attached for the bulk of her special. So I think this character is going to be seeing play. And then let's talk about her support effect. So many Mythical Zone type characters, so many Land of Honor arc characters that are all top tier, and just straight up 2 turns of defense up. You have so few defense up removal supports in the game, especially 2 turns with such an easy condition, attaching to so many characters. Yes, it is a Yamato, so you can't use any other Yamatos on the team, but still amazing. This character, let's give her flowers. Amazing character. And she also has Super Tandem boost, so getting dupes will be valuable for her, of course. So very happy with that character. Let's talk about the Super Evolution before we end off. Sorry for the long video. Okay, so let's look at a pre-evolution state. I do have a fully max right now. Captain ability, weak multiplier when slots matched, even worse without. Only to driven and powers, no cooldown, no switch effect gauge charge, and nothing like that. Okay, Dex quick recovery tandem matching, end of turn damage, and if they are marked enemies, you take less damage. Okay, special, removes targets lock status, which is good. It's the only character in the game, I think, or the only legend that removes that. That's nice. Becomes Ulti Page One for 3 turns, and then if your captain is driven or powers, marks all enemies that have 10 million or more HP, which is most enemies in the game, and then gives you a conditional boost for marked by 2.25x. And the good thing about marked is that it goes through all immunities, so one of the best conditional boosters in the game, even without the Super Evolution. Also a great swap effect of a chain boundary of 2 turns, and just the regular swap also provides a chain boundary. So there isn't a lot that needs to change, right? The only thing is multiplier is increased. Maybe make this orbman up better. Maybe go through block, and then also introduce utility, because there's literally no utility here, but that's fine. Okay, so first of all, the artwork looks great, and of course their rumble stuff in 6-star form was unusable. Let's see what it is now. Okay, first off, captain ability, 3 switch effect gauge charges to themselves. That's great. That plus the 4 swap gauges effect charges that you get from being a boosted character. Not a boosted character, but just being getting the cooldown and gauge charges at the start of the quest is enough to get them fully ready. Very, very nice. Okay, driven in powers 5.25x, so slightly better multipliers, but that's not crazy. No cooldown, still. Same beneficial orb enable. End of turn damage is still here, so you get around resilience. Marked enemies, once again, you get a 30% damage reduction. But now, if you have 3 or more Land of Wonder Arc or Ancient Zoan type, now there's a bit of a problem here. Zoan type is getting shafted. The only Ancient Zoan types in the game, I've checked this right before I made the video. All Ancient Zoan type characters are just Tobiropo members and like the Kaido's leaders, the lead performers. So why have that tag when the only characters that have it are Land of Wonder Arc already? Just say 3 or more Land of Wonder Arc. There's a lot of redundancy there. It's very stupid because there's so many characters. The entire zoo is getting shafted. There's so many Zoan type characters in the game, like Rob Lucci, that are completely just not getting this support. Of course, also a mythical Zoan type wouldn't work. Ancient Zoan is definitely the weakest of the Zoan type tags, so this is annoying. But if you do have 3 or more, so 2 characters besides themselves, then you get 7 turns of special bind reduction, which is more than enough, right? And then an extra 1.1x for those tags. Okay, so multipliers a bit better. Good utility. You get around special bind and resilience. No other captains in the game do that. So I'll give them their flowers. They are only driven in powers, mono, no cooldown. I think this is a good captain. Like, I'm just gonna say it, like, not for PKA or speed farming content by any means, but that utility in the captain, you can't ignore that. It's really good, and most natural orbs beneficial. Reducing their own switch effect gauge. I mean, these multipliers aren't terrible. It goes up to like 5.6x with those tags. So I think, yeah, pretty good. I think they did a good job at upgrading that. Then we have the special 20 turns, which I think is they increase the cooldown, which does 300 times to everyone. So AoE damage now instead of single target. So this could be used for wave clearing, which is nice. 20 turns though, probably not. Changes crew slots now including block to character's zone type and adjacent orbs to 1-0. And then it completely removes the crew's target lock once again and becomes the dual form for 3 turns. If captain's driven or powerhouse, applies mark status once again. If you have 3 or more Animal Kingdom pirates, Tobiropo, Land of Wonder Arc, or Ancient Zoan type. Holy redundancy. Just say Land of Wonder Arc at that point. Once again, like, what's the point of that? It's so redundant. Okay. Yeah, I feel like they intended to say Zoan type, not Ancient Zoan type. This makes 0 sense, right? Every unit, every tag here falls under Land of Wonder Arc. Like, okay. But if you meet that tag requirement, so 2 units besides themselves, you get a 3.5x conditional boost for marked enemies. Otherwise, it's only 2.5x, which is still not terrible, right? I'm pretty sure the only thing that will change here is the multipliers, and I think this, you will lose the Wonder Orbs. I think those are the only things that change without having level limit break 5, which isn't that detrimental in my opinion. And I think this multiplier goes up to like 3.25x, 2.25x, so you really don't lose too much, right? And when it comes to level limit break, they can't change switch effect and super switch, so whatever this is, everyone gets it. Super switch 6 swaps once again is very nice, not too bad. Removes their own paralysis, irrelevant. Own orb to 1-0, not through block still, so the same thing. But the chain boundary is now 2.75x minimum for 3 turns, so it will last for multiple stages. That is just, like, just that last bit is the only thing that we care about. The 1 orb is pretty nice as well, but that chain boundary is just so good from a swap effect. And even the regular one, it's literally the exact same thing, but it's still really nice. So overall, I think they did a good job. This character didn't need a lot, but they gave them the perfect amount of utility. I think in their regular special, yeah, they definitely should have added one other piece of utility here. But as a captain, I think they definitely have potential. Their Rumble stuff only really good in Assault Rumble. They definitely focused on it being a damage dealing unit. They do have spread damage to powerhouse class enemies. They buff driven and powerhouse units. So the only time you're really using this character is on Land of One Arc team with driven base. So you could use this with Dex versus Kaido maybe. I don't know. Against only powerhouse teams is the only time they're good. So very niche, but they definitely could act as a good DPS unit in Assault Rumble. But that's really all I have to say. That's all this unit really has in terms of substance. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions about the units, ask them down below. Once again, sorry about the long video. It's currently like 12 o'clock, so I can't really record this. Re-record it. Hopefully you like my analysis and stick around for more news videos in the future. I know news videos can be a bit stupid and one-dimensional. I hate doing them, but if I can provide genuine insight, I think it can be productive. So I'm working on improving them every time. Hopefully next time I'll be a bit more awake and can get through the information quicker. But I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace. And I'm out.